Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy. So today I'm going to try this bubble method using UV resin, and I'm going to use some of the chameleons from Eye Candy. I do have an Eye Candy discount or code in the description box. And what I did when I bought them is I bought like a sample pack so I could see all of the colors. And I'm still, working through those, and they worked great for this. So all I'm doing here is I'm putting some Let's Resin UV resin. I also have a link for Let's Resin, and you can get it on Amazon too. I'm just kind of putting a thin layer in these heart coaster molds. I got these coaster molds from Fluid Art Company, and so I'm just basically putting a very thin layer, and then I'm going to take them one at a time. And when I saw somebody do this, they did about 3 parts Dawn dish soap to 1 part water. It may be a little bit too concentrated, but yeah, you're just blowing bubbles like a little kid. And then you scoop the bubbles off the top, and then you're going to put it in the UV resin and then cure it with the UV light. I will say you need to move kind of quickly because your bubbles start to pop. So you probably should do it like in one section, and then, but of course your resin on the other side is gonna have a little bit of a curing effect, right? So I did have some trial and error in this. So I think for one, I was using a bowl with my my soap and water, and so I discovered after some trial and error, I need to use a cup so I can scoop the stuff off the top a lot faster and easier. So I can get a bunch of it at one time and just lay it in there. Sorry, I'm off camera. But I did find some places where I didn't get good coverage, and I just added a little bit more UV resin, a little bit more bubbles, and then I was able to do it again. So yeah, this was a great learning experiment for me. So once you do this step, your resin is pretty much cured. So then I take like a makeup brush and very lightly start to dust in the chameleon pigments. You could also use interference colors. Those would be pretty too, because then you're just gonna use some black resin behind it as a backer. So either one would work. These are just color shifting, so as you move the coaster, the color's going to change. So that's kind of cool. So you can see, this is the first one. You can see some places where I did not get coverage. You see where I'm kind of showing that to you? I like the mixture of the tiny bubbles and the big bubbles. So what I did, because I'm like, this is an experiment, is I went back and I just added some UV resin where I didn't get bubbles. And I did it again. And that kind of worked out. So another thing you could do, I suppose, is only do the resin in sections, but then I'm afraid that you would get kind of a slippery surface underneath it, and it would cause it to not cure right. But you see how I'm having trouble getting enough bubbles at the same time? That's because I was using that bowl and not a cup. So I finally got smart and used a cup, and it was a lot easier because I would blow the bubbles, they'd all poof up to the top, I'd grab a handful and put it on the whole thing. So this is super fun, and what I like about this is you could do this bubble part in like 10 minutes and set it aside. And you could, dust the color in whenever you were ready, and then when you have the time, you can mix the black resin and put it in. So for mine, I just, when you do the black resin, I just used regular resin. I didn't use UV resin because why use all that UV resin, right? And plus, with UV resin, you have to be careful what you add into it. Not all resin things work in UV resin. Sometimes they won't cure. So you can see that one looks good. So we're going to do the other one. Oh, no, we're going to fix the weird places because I like to overwork things. But yeah, I would like to do 2 more of these. I did them in 2 different colors, and I used one a little heavier on the first one, with the other is kind of an accent color, and then I reversed that with the other coaster, and they look very different. So I'd like to make 2 more and kind of do the same thing, kind of balance them out. I really like the way they turned out. I think they're super cute. And of course now I want to try this with random things, right? Because I've always wanted to try it, I've just never had time. So here's our next one. P.S. I did try to put the, man, I'm way out of camera frame. I'm sorry, you guys. I did try to put the UV resin in the Resiners machine to pop the 1 or 2 bubbles that showed. And it does pop bubbles, but it created them. So I don't know that I would use the Resiners bubble removal for UV resin, because no matter what I did after that, they weren't popping. So I think it actually maybe introduced bubbles for those. It works great on regular resin, but maybe not for UV. So yeah, so you kind of get the idea here. But if you try this, I would try it in a cup, not a bowl, so that your suds kind of pop up in one narrow place and you can scoop them with your hands and get it all in at one time. Because that one definitely turned out better. So we're going to use this Tori and Tsunami color from Eye Candy. And you can see I have this little makeup brush, and you just go to town, start coloring. It doesn't take a lot. So I didn't even pour the pigment out. I just dipped the brush in the bag, and then when I switched colors, I cleaned the brush really, really well. So, I didn't do this perfectly either. I obviously, you could just use one color, but I really liked the color and I just kept going. I was like, wait, I need to leave space for the other color. But the chameleon pigments are good for this because they're very fine. And, with the 3D look of the bubbles, you get some pretty cool effects because it kind of causes them to shift on their own. So this is obviously way sped up. But what's cool is like, I have makeup brushes that I don't use. I just repurposed them for this. And now we're basically cleaning off the brush. We're going to switch to the other pigment. So I think I picked 2 pigments that I hadn't used before, because I've used quite a few of them before in blooms. I haven't used them in resin that I know of. So then the idea after this is you just pour black resin in and let it cure. So I'll show you in the demolding video. Now, one thing that happened for me in this instance is my surface on the bottom stayed kind of sticky, and I think it could be 2 things. It could be that whole Resiners experiment that I did, or I may have used, I may have gotten like bubble stuff underneath and where it didn't cure properly. So that's no big deal. All I'm going to do to fix that is put a resin coat on the top, which will actually make it look better anyway. So you'll see, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but when I do the unmolding video, you can kind of see that the surface isn't like that glass-like look that you normally have with resin. Well, that's why. So anyway, I'm way out of frame. I'm so sorry, you guys, but I think you can kind of see what I'm doing still. So what I'm doing now is putting in that other color. You can see I was very heavy-handed with that green color. It's a very pretty color, but much less of this Tori color or whatever color. That's a really beautiful color. It's like a violet blue shift. Really cool color. But these turn out really cool, I think. Maybe I'm biased because I did it, but it's a really fun way to play around with UV resin. So you can kind of see the colors, and you can even like see what it looks like first. And obviously with the black in the resin, you're creating kind of a good background so you can see these colors even better. So yeah, Let me speed up the rest for you. Okay, so in the background, I've mixed up some resin. I used some black pigment. I think I used some resin paste that I have. I did use Promise Epoxy for these, and I did put it through the Resiners machine, which helped. I like Promise Epoxy a lot. I do notice it has a lot of micro bubbles, so I don't know that it would be my choice in a mold. I mean, it worked, but I will probably maybe add some like cork backs or something to the bottom of these and sand them so they're smoother. But I would probably use a resin like Let's Resin or something that tends to be more or less lighter on the bubbles. Now, of course, this is just the back, so it's not really a big deal what you use. It's just in a mold, you know, bubbles go to the side and they pop, and then all this annoying stuff. The Resiners machine definitely helped. So here's the unmolding. Pretty cool, huh? You see that weird finish? That's what I was talking about. So I'll give that a light sanding and I'll put a top coat of resin on it. It'll be fine. Here's the other one. This one's my favorite. I love the contrast of the different size bubbles on this one. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this fun little experiment. I will definitely do it again. I thought it was super cool. Sorry about the background there. I am multitasking at the time that I'm unmolding this. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.